He thought it was funny. In front of dozens, a decorated Navy SEAL smirked at a quiet woman in a faded uniform and asked, "So, what's your rank, sweetheart?" He expected laughter. Instead, silence fell. Moments later, 4 of the highest-ranking generals walked into the room. They looked at her, they stood taller, and without a single word they saluted her first. The SEAL's smirk vanished. What followed would redefine honor. A lesson in humility, silent strength, and the unseen price of service. Before we begin, where are you watching from today? Let me know in the comments below, because this story reaches hearts across oceans, ranks, and generations. And if respect, honor, and silent strength still mean something to you, please subscribe so you never miss stories like this. Now, let's step into the room where silence became power. The moment unfolds in the middle of a military transition ceremony deep inside Fort Brigham's reception hall, a place where oak-paneled walls are lined with medals and portraits of leaders long buried. The air tastes like brass polish and restrained formality. It's the kind of room where laughter is rare and hierarchy speaks louder than chatter. But not today. Today the silence carries a different weight, because in that silence stands Lieutenant Colonel Ava Grant, shoulders squared, her uniform clean but worn like it had seen the inside of 1,000 storms. She is not tall, not muscular, nor imposing. Instead, her presence is quiet, unwavering, like the still sea before a storm. Her eyes hold a depth that draws attention only if one dares to look long enough. Few do. Most only notice the limp in her left leg. Some notice the ribbon pinned slightly differently, a folded flag beside the medals. None understand. Except one man who will, but not yet. Across the hall, Navy SEAL Lieutenant Jensen Reed shifts his weight, arms crossed. He is the kind of man who enters every room assuming command. His posture says confidence. His awards say combat tested. His grin says untouchable. He watches Ava step forward to sign a document. A hush lingers. She moves deliberately, though pain flickers through her stance. Some whisper. Others ignore. Jensen scoffs, murmuring just loud enough for those near him to hear. "Someone get her a chair before she sprains something just standing there." A couple of chuckles, none courageous enough to call it out. Ava hears it. She does not turn. Jensen steps closer, using his height like a barrier. "Seriously though," he continues, still amused, "I can't tell, what's your rank? Or did you just wear that uniform for show?" He expects the usual, nervous laughter, awkward glances, maybe a quiet retreat. Instead, she simply looks at him. Not with anger, not with wounded pride, with a calm so unflinching it unsettles him. No response, just silence. That silence feels like judgment. Within seconds the door opens, and judgment comes walking in. 4 generals enter, distinguished, decorated. The air itself changes. The crowd stands silent. General Marcus Hayes, the longest serving among them, walks to the podium but pauses. Eyes locked on Ava, something shifts. Everyone watches. He does not continue forward. He walks directly to her. So do the other 3. Jensen's face pales. Before a single introduction, before protocols and rehearsed speeches, 4 generals step forward, and they salute her, not out of courtesy, not out of rank, out of reverence. The room does not just fall silent. It breaks into awe. And that is where the story truly begins. Years earlier, the air smelled like sand and blood. Ava Grant was deployed on her 3rd Special Operations mission as an intelligence officer attached to a covert rescue unit. A village near Kandahar had been ambushed. Casualties noted, hostages unclear, signal lost. She wasn't meant to lead, she wasn't the highest in rank. But when communications died and insurgents closed in, she stepped forward because no one else could. Her voice cut through panic. Her strategies saved dozens. But the extraction vehicle came under fire. A secondary blast tore through the convoy. She shielded 2 medics with her own body. The shrapnel lodged in her leg remains to this day. She recovered physically, but left something on that field that would never return. The man she loved, Lieutenant Daniel Cross. He died shielding her when the second wave hit. His last words were not orders, not goodbyes, just make it count. She returned home with his dog tags fused into the back of her compass. A compass she carried into every assignment. She never spoke of it, never reminded a world that forgot too easily. She didn't need to, because some remember without words. General Hayes breaks the silence first, not with words, but with a nod. His expression holds grief, respect, something unspoken. Jensen shifts uncomfortably. His ego searches for an exit. Ava offers a restrained greeting. The generals position themselves beside her, subtly reordering protocol around her presence. People exchange looks. Confusion builds. A young officer whispers, "Who is she?" The oldest general answers without looking away from Ava, "The reason many of us are alive today." No one breathes the unseen weight. As the ceremony proceeds, Jensen stays at the edge, restless, but the tension keeps climbing. Each mention of unit transitions, fallen comrades, honors of service, feels like a spotlight he can't escape. Across the room, Ava stands motionless. Her hand gently holds a folded letter, Daniel's last unfinished message. A subtle gesture, unnoticed by most. General Hayes notices. "You still carry it." His voice is nearly a whisper. Ava nods once. No one else hears. Jensen tries to salvage pride. He moves toward the podium during a break, speaking louder this time. "I'm just saying we respect service, but you'd think someone would know when to retire." He gestures toward Ava. "If she can't even stand for a full ceremony." Before he finishes, the hall feels colder. General Hayes steps forward, not with anger, with disappointment. "She stood for a country that forgot her. The least you can do is stand silent for a moment." Jensen's response falters. The room remains frozen. Ava does not move, does not speak. Her silence is mightier than any rank he ever earned. Some warriors fight battles others never see. The strongest ones never need to remind you they were there. The words feel as though they drift from the generals, but they are not spoken aloud. They are felt, foreshadowing the power shift. Toward the back of the hall, unseen by most, a soldier in civilian clothes watches with steady eyes. A scar crosses his left cheek. A former unit member, Ava's old team. Unknown to Jensen, they did not come alone. Beyond the hall, a line of silent veterans waiting to enter, not part of the ceremony, part of the reckoning. As the moderator approaches the microphone, the presentation shifts. The next portion honors undisclosed service above standard rank recognition. The audience anticipates medals, maybe a speech. Instead, the general turns to Ava and presents a small box, worn at the edges, a commendation long approved but never delivered publicly. Ava does not move. He opens it for her. Inside lies an insignia rarely seen, a classification of courage not measured by stripes or stars. The room leans forward. Jensen's eyes widen. General Hayes speaks, finally breaking the unspoken wall. This recognition was delayed because some honors cannot be awarded without understanding their true cost. He places the insignia in her palm. "Today, we honor the price she paid in silence." Ava closes her hand gently, still silent, still unshaken. Jensen looks like his armor has cracked. He whispers, barely audible, "I didn't know." Ava looks at him for a moment, not with bitterness, with a quiet ache. Her only reply is internal. "You weren't supposed to." The hidden network appears. The public reckoning unfolds. Jensen faces true humility. The four generals reveal the full truth, and the most powerful salute of all comes from where no one expected. The insignia rests in Ava's hand, its metallic edge cool against her palm. She doesn't look at it, not yet. The weight of it is familiar, as if it had always been hers, just waiting to surface. Across the room, Lieutenant Jensen Reed stands still, his earlier confidence dissolving like mist. For the first time in years, he feels unsure, not of his competence, but of his character. There's a steady thrum inside his chest, a heartbeat that no longer matches the pace of arrogance. Something else is taking root, something uncomfortably like shame. General Hayes steps back only slightly, allowing the weight of the moment to settle. He does not embellish, he does not praise, he does not need to, because true honor never shouts. The audience remains frozen, some lower their heads, others clasp their hands to still trembling fingers. A nurse in uniform watching from the rear whispers under her breath, "Finally." Jensen now knows he made a mistake, but awareness does not erase the wound. He clears his throat as if testing his voice for the first time and takes a slow step forward. "Ma'am, I didn't." But his words fall apart. Ava does not respond. She does not offer forgiveness or fury. Her silence feels like a mirror held to his conscience. Her past, finally spoken without words. Years ago, Ava would have spoken. She would have defended herself, diffused conflict, maybe even laughed to ease tension. But silence came after Daniel died. In the quiet of hospital walls, in the stillness of recovery, she learned that some truths grow stronger unwitnessed. She had once stood on soil soaked with blood, only able to hear her own breathing among the wounded. She learned then that silence is where courage is born, and today she stands the same way, unmoved, unshaken, seen. The ceremony continues, but the atmosphere is transformed. Official proceedings resume, but no one truly hears the next words. They simply wait for something, for clarity, for closure. The moderator announces the traditional recognition of service transition of command. A routine rite, usually sterile, polite, predictable, not today. Because as Ava is motioned to step forward to transition her role to another, she does not move. Her leg trembles, just slightly, but her eyes remain focused. And that is when it happens. The oak doors at the far end of the hall open again. Dozens of veterans enter, not invited, not part of the formal guest list. They walk slowly, intentionally, filling the aisle. Some wear uniforms, others wear civilian jackets adorned with whispering hints of past wars, pins, patches, faded unit signs. At their center walks a man with a deep scar on his cheek, the soldier who watched silently earlier. He stops just behind Ava. Jensen's breath catches. He recognizes the unit patch on the man's sleeve. Covert operations. Classified. The kind of unit that answers only to those who have earned their trust. The man looks at Ava's back. "You never asked us to come," he says quietly. Ava closes her eyes briefly. A glimmer of pain, of memory. He continues, voice deeper, carrying across the hall not through volume, but through conviction. But some debts are not settled in silence. Every veteran behind him stands straighter. Respect should never be granted by rank. It should be earned by sacrifice. The moral confrontation. Jensen feels every eye turned toward him, not in attack, but in expectation. He steps forward, hesitant. Why didn't anyone tell me?" His voice shakes. General Hayes meets his gaze. He looks not at Jensen's rank, but at the man beneath the uniform. "Because, Lieutenant," he replies, "if respect depends on being told whom to respect, then it was never truly respect at all." Jensen lowers his head. A heavy truth settles. Ava watches him quietly, her face softened, not by pity, but by understanding. She has seen men crumble before. She has also seen them rebuild. She does not speak. She simply waits. The man with the scar steps forward. "Lieutenant Colonel Ava Grant was not just attached to our unit. She led our extraction under direct fire. She lost 3 teammates in one night. She saved 14. Murmurs sweep through the hall. He continues, voice unwavering. "Including General Hayes's son." A gasp echoes across the room. General Hayes lowers his head. The audience sees, finally, the depth of the salute earlier. Not just respect, gratitude. The last defense inside Jensen fractures. He approaches Ava slowly, humbly. "I judged what I saw," he admits, each word deliberate. "Not what you endured, not who you are. I'm sorry." Ava does not make him wait. She nods once. It is enough. Then in the softest voice, barely above breath, "Let your actions honor the silence you misunderstood. The moment that went viral. No one claps, no one cheers. The most powerful moments in history rarely demand applause. Instead, one by one, service members in the audience stand. Veterans, officers, medics. Even civilians who recognize something sacred when they see it. A wall of silent respect forms. Jensen looks up, eyes misting. Then, he does what he should have done from the beginning. He stands at full attention and salutes her. The 4 generals follow. The veterans follow. Soon, the entire hall rises into a cascade of silent honor, a salute without ceremony, respect without requirement, a moment that would later be described online as, "The day silence spoke louder than ranks." A soldier steps forward, carrying a framed item wrapped gently in cloth. As he removes the cover, Ava's breath catches. It is Daniel's last letter, recovered, preserved, framed with his dog tags. A note beneath it reads, "Make it count. Lieutenant Daniel Cross." Ava places her hand over the glass. It is the first time in many years that a single tear escapes and falls unhidden. No one looks away. General Hayes steps beside her. "You already did," he says softly. "Now let us carry the rest." Sometimes the greatest battles are won by those who refuse to shout back. Ava turns from the podium, insignia in hand. She walks slowly, not because of pain, because of purpose. As she reaches the exit, Jensen steps aside, standing at full attention. His eyes meet hers. This time there is no ego, only respect. She nods. He whispers, "Thank you for not breaking." Ava steps beyond the hall's threshold, into the corridor where sunlight streams through tall windows. She pauses, not to look back, but because she no longer needs to. Epilogue: what happened after? The moment launches an internal review of ceremony conduct across multiple military branches. Formal silence periods are reintroduced into transition services. Ava's recommendations become standard training for leadership development. Jensen volunteers for veterans rehabilitation programs. He never jokes about rank again. Weeks later, a quiet envelope arrives at Ava's home. It contains a photo of that day, signed anonymously. "For the ones who stand in silence, a grateful soldier." She places it beside Daniel's compass, in a small house near the coast where mornings smell like salt and pine. She sits on her porch at dawn, finally, breathing freely. She knows Daniel would have smiled. She hears his voice one last time. "You made it count." If this story reached you, if it reminded you that dignity often stands quietly in a room full of noise, comment below. I stand for silent warriors. Tell us where you're watching from and share your thoughts. If this story honored someone you know, someone strong enough to be silent, tag them, share this, and keep their courage alive. Write in the comments. Would you have spoken like Jensen, or stood silent like Ava? And if you believe respect is earned in sacrifice, not in volume, subscribe for more stories honoring unseen heroes, because sometimes the bravest thing a person ever does is remain silent until the world is ready to listen.